Wait a minute.
Hear this.
Birdy num num. Birdy num num. Birdy num num.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another Birdy Num Num podcast. Hope you're having a good week. I'm having a good week as usual. It's Monday here in Nama, Bengaluru, and this week I have a guest I have been trying to chase down for the last few weeks, but she's traveling all over Europe. It's a beautiful city, I must say. It's Karuna Reddy. How are you, dude?
Very good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really excited to have you.
I'm super excited to be here. I've been hearing all your podcasts, and it's always a pleasure talking to you.
No, it's so funny because before I get into what you do and you know why I think this is good, I'm excited for this podcast. I actually remember seeing you at the gym I would go to years ago.
Yes.
And I would always notice this girl who was crushing it at the gym, like making the rest of us look terrible, but then always had a smile on her face while doing like 600 push-ups or whatever. And here we are, dude. This is so awesome.
Excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. So, Karuna, I'm excited about this week's podcast because I recently just got married, Indian wedding, the big fat Indian wedding. And it's been a season right now for Indian weddings,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I joke around now, Ambani, Deepika, Priyanka, me. You know?
But your wedding was like beautiful. I saw all the pictures and videos.
It was fun, but it was
Amazing.
the funny thing is, I think it was the worst time to get married in terms of the comparative Indian wedding, which we do,
Oh.
because everyone's like, "Wow, they had Beyonce," or "Wow, they had Hillary Clinton." It's like, Sanjay, who did you have? Oh, we had DJ.
We had a lot of fun. That's what it was.
No, I was like, we had DJ Vishnu, like DJ Vishnu on the. But yes, we did have fun.
Yeah.
But leading into that, for those of you who may not know. Karuna, can you give a background into where you're from, you know, and then how you got to where you are today?
So I'm from Hyderabad, and I've. Can you believe it? I studied my engineering.
Really?
And yes.
And then you realized what you really wanted to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then I got into art direction and fashion styling and basically like photo styling for editorials and ads, etc.
Okay.
So that was when I shifted to Bombay to work. Post that, then I started getting a lot of work in Bangalore as well, like in the similar space, art direction. And then I think some of my, it was just word of mouth. It kind of went on from there where I started doing styling events and also styling spaces like their homes, etc.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a very organic move for us to start. Yeah.
Okay, so if I understood correctly, I should just call this podcast the Do What You Want to Do After Engineering podcast. Because
Right?
every single one of my guests has this story, including myself. And it's like, so I understood correctly. By the way, I'm going to get to this, but just so everybody knows, Karuna now is at a place where she has her own business agency. What do I call it?
A business company.
Company called Mogra Collective.
The Mogra Collective.
Yeah, she runs it with her partner.
Yeah, Malvika Poddar.
Yeah, so you can check them out on Instagram, and they were very helpful to me. But basically, you guys do wedding decor, wedding planning, and kind of are in the wedding and event space.
Right.
Yes. So you did engineering. Basically, you realized there's other stuff you can also do and make money with, and then went into advertising a little bit and styling. And from there, people were like, wow, you're really good at running these events. Why don't you get a shot? And then eventually you were like, you landed up in the wedding space through somebody of somebody. And,
Yes.
And here we are.
Yes.
Yes. So wonderful. So that brings us into the meat of what I want to talk about, which of course is the big fat Indian wedding or the lean, mean, minimal Indian wedding, whatever it might be. So I got to ask you, you know, it is the year of Indian weddings. I have talked about this on my podcast before. I recently got married. My brother's in the business. You're in the business. Straight off the bat, what's the best thing about working in the Indian wedding business?
Best thing is when absolute strangers walk up to you, post this like insane chaotic days of work and months, in fact, chaotic months of work. And then on the day when like absolute strangers walk up to you and like are always have the nicest things to tell you that, oh my God, this is like just beautiful, or oh, everything went well. And especially also when the family comes and tells you that, you know, they're just so grateful. And you're like, hey, I mean, it just feels great.
It means a lot.
It means a lot. Yeah.
You know, it's nice because Samir, the owner of Chinita, was here last week, and we talked about this exact same thing, that seeing the fruits of your labor is such an underrated thing.
Absolutely.
I worked at Accenture for 10 years. I never knew where that spreadsheet went, who it affected, what it did to some client in America. Did it make them happy or whatever? But the second you make a mandap or you design something, you see the bride's face, you're like, cool, mission accomplished.
Right. I know it's a bit unfair for all those people who kind of, are doing the food, and like all the people who are at the back end, because they're putting in a lot more, like maybe more or like equivalent effort. But this is something visual, and every time people come and talk to us, we're like, hey, thank you, but we have a big team that's actually put in all that.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's kind of like, it's nice to be appreciated, at least, as the face of the business, like you said, because I know that there's so many other vital things, the electrician, the guys who put up the stuff, the food, the chefs.
Yes.
And it's kind of like sound at a concert where if you're doing well, nobody appreciates you. If you're doing bad, everybody hates you.
Oh my God, really? Right?
So you lose both ways, because you're only when you're doing well is when no one says anything. Because the sound is fine as it should be.
Yeah.
Okay, now $1 million question. What's the worst thing about dealing with these hoity-toity ass people? Yeah. She's like, no. Rephrase the question. Yeah. Okay, what's the worst thing about being in Indian weddings?
I think just the high stress levels.
Yeah, because it's the biggest day.
It is the biggest day, and we understand where the family, because every time parents talk to us, like the bride's family or the groom's family, they're just like, oh my God, I really want to just hug them, and I want to tell them that, you know what, it's going to be fine. Can you not stress? But like, that's just how it is. Like when they're just so stressed, and they're always wondering whether things are going to be all right.
About food, about photography, about
pretty much mandap not being ready. Because when you are working on the set, like if you walk in, like say about even 1 hour before the muhurtam time, or
for the NRIs, what's the muhurtam again? The fairas and stuff?
The fairas.
Okay,
right?
Or just say ceremony on this podcast.
Okay. Before the ceremony or before the event's supposed to start, and things may not necessarily be in place. Yeah. And they're like stressed, and we're like, hey, this is just how it is. Like, can you, relax. And a lot of times that anxiety is totally understandable, like, because, I mean, sadly, we, like the Indian wedding industry is a little chaotic, like things are not really organized. Yeah. So, which is why we take a lot of effort. That's something that we ensure that we always follow our timelines, and we, before the event, actually send out these execution sheets, and all the teams and the family members are in tune, like, okay, this is the time when this is going to start, this is when it's going to, and we follow it to the T. Yeah. So trying to keep those anxiety levels at bay.
So because, it reminds me of during my own wedding planning, I was, we had a joint wedding, and I had hired a photographer I worked with a photographer that came recommended through a friend of mine, and very good guy. And the girls were like, can we have a call with him? Can we speak to him about the shots we want and this and that? And I was like looking at his Instagram, being in the industry of media. I was like, this guy is fine. He knows his stuff. Leave him alone. Let's stop bothering him with like 19 phone calls. He will get you the shots. And they're like, no, but this angle, that angle, and where is he? And then sure enough, on the wedding day, he came, he handled his business, killed it, and he left, right?
Right, yeah.
And I feel like even for me with stand-up shows, I'll do a show for Microsoft or some startup company, and they want to have 19 calls about, we're very sensitive about if you do politics or below the belt jokes. And I'm like, listen, I do this 1,000 times. I got it. This is a cakewalk for me. But you have to make people feel like it's very important on the biggest day of their life, right? So do you just like put a smile on your face and answer the same 50 questions over and over? Yeah.
Yes. You have to.
She's like, yes, I know the mandap should be ready before the wedding starts. Thank you. Yeah, I am.
Yes, but having said that,
the food is hot. Yeah.
I get it, because parents, it's heartening to see that they always want the best for their kids.
Yeah.
And
do they? At weddings sometimes?
Yeah,
I watched The
actually.
Maid in Heaven. I mean, I saw sometimes. I do a joke that, I'm going to let you finish, but I do a joke that, the cutest thing about Indian weddings is the couple, they think it's about them, but it might be about the parents or the family.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I actually like. They want the best so that it's for the family.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
hey, we need to ensure that my kid's wedding was the best.
Yeah. I need to make sure that Shushila auntie knows that my wedding was better than her son's wedding or something. Don't worry. I love how safe she's playing it. So I will be the bad guy. Don't worry. And she is amazing. Her business is amazing. So, okay. So the worst thing about Indian weddings is just the high stress levels.
The high stress.
And
yeah.
So do we tend as, Bridezilla is a thing everyone's heard of. I rarely hear of Groomzilla. Do you see that?
No.
Not so much.
Not so much.
Why do you suppose that is? Why are guys so just whatever about the biggest day of their life too?
I guess it's just guys have a different way of dealing with stress. I think I'm not sure if it's a gender thing.
Yeah. No, we internalize our emotions and we're stone
yeah,
cold.
right.
Yeah,
because hey, guys, men are not supposed to cry, not supposed to just be happy or I guess it's one of those things. But having said that, I mean, I don't know. Like touchwood, so far, I've just had like amazing brides who've not had a bridezilla moment.
Okay.
Or maybe it's something that I haven't encountered yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's happening behind the doors, but maybe
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Have you had like horror stories at Indian weddings and, don't give names and don't obviously, or heard of stories from other people, wink, wink, asking for a friend. Yeah. But like, have you ever, because I was watching that Maid in Heaven thing. And I love the show. Amazon does not give me any money. Don't worry. Not yet anyways. But have you seen horror stories like a wedding called off either through your events or somebody else's? Or have you seen like dowry demands, or have you seen or heard of crazy stuff that we did see on shows like that or in the media? And the news?
Yes, I've heard of all those. All those stories. Yeah. Firstly, that I think Maid in Heaven was very close to reality. Like
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So they were able to capture
quite a bit. Yes.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it was very real.
With a little bit of masala.
Obviously, I mean, it's Bollywood.
I think I liked that show more than I should have.
Right?
I was like, no one was doing lines in the back of the bathroom at our wedding, but but I get it. Yeah. You guys can't see, or maybe you can. She's just got really quiet. Yeah. No, but I love, I think it's so funny because I feel like a lot of people who get married and spend those 6 months or 9 months planning it end up moving into the industry in some way because they're like, I know my own brother's wife, my sister-in-law, Bobby G, right? Like after she got married, she went full on in the wedding business. She's like, if I do this once, I'm going to do it 100 more times.
Right.
Because I'm practically living it, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you have to, I mean, I don't think it's for everybody, but it's definitely if you like kind of, you like the creative space, you like organizing things. I know a lot of people who do. Yeah. And I think if you are okay with that, if you're okay to handle tight timelines and okay to answer the same question 2 million times, yes.
Yeah, then it's fine.
It is perfect.
And we are back, everybody. Took a little break because it was getting hot in here talking about Indian weddings. Speaking of getting hot and stressful, I feel like it's been the year of Indian weddings, don't you think?
Definitely.
Like we had Ambani, we had Deepika, we had Priyanka. We had Ambani again?
We had Ambani. Yes, +1, yeah.
So so I kind of get, I mean, as expected, Indian weddings can be very stressful. But it's a $1 billion industry now, right? I think, at least.
Yeah, it is.
So what's the number one thing when someone basically gets engaged that they start doing? Like, what's the normal process? For example, is the first thing somebody does is find a hotel and a venue and then find the dress, then find the groom? I don't know. Like, how does it, how does it work? Yeah.
Ideally, I think once you find the groom,
I
think
or the bride, whoever, whoever,
yeah.
So, okay.
I think ideally you should be blocking the venue.
The venue. Okay, so venue is number one.
Number one,
okay.
always, because you the date that you have in mind. Usually, like if it's an auspicious day, there are a couple of weddings at least, or 2, 3 weddings, or 4 weddings even, might really like it. Considering it's an auspicious day, there are a lot more people who will opt for the same day, right?
Understood, yeah.
Right, and that's one. And you will also have the time to kind of negotiate and get a good deal with the hotel.
So in India, how often or how far ahead do people book their wedding hotels, whether it's the Leela, the Goa, the Marriott? Is it 6 months, 3 months?
6
months.
Ideally, you can start even 8 months. Depends.
Okay.
You'll have to push them for it. Like
Okay.
the bigger the hotel, they commit to a shorter time.
The bigger the hotel, they commit to a short. So like the Ritz-Carlton in Bombay.
Would say like 6, 7 months. 8.
Okay. And what places, like these, the fancy Jaipur Palace ones, like those take a year in advance
Yeah.
at least?
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
minimum.
Why do people love those weddings, by the way? I'm so, like, it's like in the middle of nowhere, right? Those ones? There's no beach. It's like a lake or something. Is it that whole?
It's that whole that. I mean, you come on. You have you been to?
No, that's why I'm
palace?
full of shit when
Oh
I'm
my
asking the
God,
question.
you
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
So once you're there,
Uh-huh.
I mean, decor is something that will be last on your mind because
Understood.
you just feel so special.
God, you feel like
being
some like
royalty.
1600 royalties,
Yes,
whatever. Okay,
it's
so
beautiful.
so people get engaged ideally first, then they book the hotels. Then what happens next? The girl generally will go shopping for her stuff like 6 months before. Like, how does it?
Yeah, they firstly like jewelry, then wardrobe, or wardrobe and then jewelry.
Okay.
A lot of brides also want to wear their family
Clothing.
Heirloom jewelry or whatever.
Okay, so January 1st, somebody gets engaged. By the end of the month or by the end of Feb, they probably have a hotel locked down.
Yes, ideally should. No, but normally what happens is the negotiations take a while
Okay,
with the hotel.
with the hotel.
With the hotel, venue, whatever.
So they start looking for a month or two.
Yeah, you'll have to start. And you ideally keep at least a month or 2 for your hotel and negotiations. For the venue, start with the venue, recceing. And you finalize on always. That's another thing I would suggest, that try and have like 2 favorite places. Please don't set your heart on like one.
Because it may not work out.
Yeah. And
Okay.
if you like from the beginning, if you're like, hey, I'm happy to kind of either A or plan B, I think it works.
No, of course.
mostly.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion because then people get, there was even hotels we were looking at and they didn't work out. And then when everything was said and done, we were like, I'm so glad it didn't work out there because it would have been too hot.
Right.
But in the moment, you get caught up and you think.
You get caught up and
Yeah.
you're just like, you try to, pretty much okay everything that the hotel is asking you for. Like,
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that.
It's so funny when we were, because we had a wedding planner that was a family friend in Bangkok, and we were like, oh yeah, we'll pick them up in buses, and we'll have music on the bus and beers, and then we had all this stuff planned. We'll give them bracelets and luggage tags, and then as we were getting the bills for all these, we're like, okay, we can cancel that. We can remove. They don't need luggage tags. They know it's their bag. They know what their bag looks like. Why give them an extra luggage tag? It's a waste of money. Like,
Exactly. So that's the thing with the wedding industry. When you say it's $1 billion industry,
Yeah.
that's how it is. You can pretty much customize
Anything.
everything.
Yeah.
Like if you want your spoons customized with your initials, there is a market for that.
Yeah. So that's a great segue into one of the big questions I wanted to ask you, which is, what makes a killer Indian wedding? Because as I was saying, I've never been to a wedding, even my own wedding, where people were like, wow, those luggage tags are amazing. Or my goodness, they had a fireworks that came out like Mickey Mouse or something. Like, all that is great. And good food is appreciated. A really nice hotel is appreciated. But I was learning throughout our wedding that just saying hi to people for 5 minutes, more than a selfie and thanks for coming, is important. So in your opinion, having done hundreds of weddings or been in the industry, what actually stands out to you more than the song and dance and the flashiness? Or maybe that is what makes a good wedding. I'm just very curious, what makes a standout, memorable, truly unique Indian wedding?
I think personalization, and when you customize things and make your guests feel special, like I would say quality over quantity, but also that's just how the trend is moving these days. A lot of families so when I say a small wedding, doesn't mean it's cheap.
Of course not.
Like a smaller wedding, like that's number, and then you can customize, like sky's the limit.
Yeah, like I know Deepika had like 80 people at her wedding, tops, in Italy. Yeah.
Right.
But we're not talking about Italy. But yeah.
Yeah, but like, I mean, you can, if you want to have a wedding right here in Bangalore, you can still like customize it to, I don't know, to the T. Pretty much you can customize every single thing for your guests.
So when you say customization, do you mean like a handwritten note when they get to the hotel, or like a T-shirt with team this, that, or like?
Yeah, like I mean, there are like calligraphy artists who sit and like personalize each note that's going to each guest.
Yeah.
And with placards and like sit-down dinners and like a 5-course dinner, and you know, sky is the limit pretty much. And then you see a lot of times is smaller in terms of numbers. I've noticed the trend that the bride and groom and the families have a lot more fun.
I see.
Because they're just, it's relaxed, it's chill. They're all spending a lot more time with each other. It's
okay. Now, for those people who that's not practical, what makes a 300 to 400 person wedding memorable and unique? The $1 million question, literally, the $1 million question. Like,
I think,
is it the same thing?
You ensure that the food is fantastic.
Yeah.
Ensure that your decor has also you have some engagement zones in your.
What does that mean? Like a photo booth or something?
No, like a photo booth maybe, but also like your seating, etc., in a way that you're creating clusters as opposed to just having like a amphitheater style seating.
Yeah.
Like ensure that the seating is in like almost like a living room kind of a setting, like create areas where people are like more lounge seating, etc.
Yeah.
So they also feel like, hey, we're sitting, we're chilling, they're experiencing the whole thing.
I agree.
As opposed to just walking in, going, wishing the bride and groom and walking out. Because we are doing a wedding that's coming up, which is like about 2,000 people.
Oh Lord. Okay.
Yeah. So, we are going that extra mile to ensure that everybody feels special by creating these pockets of, seating areas.
Sure.
And creating different levels and just these levels of interest in terms of decor. I think, that's one way to make them feel
such a good piece of advice, because I remember seeing like a lot of weddings where they treat the ballroom as like a corporate event or as like a formal Thanksgiving dinner. And when you have your friends and family from around the world, like I was at one wedding where basically they didn't have a seating chart. So they were like, we're just letting people sit where they want, or we're assigning seats, because it was still a prefixed menu, not a buffet. But since they had it all screwed up, they were like, well, we'll just let people mingle and get to know one another. And I was like, that's a horrible idea, because people are just going to be so awkward. And if my cousin is over there and I haven't seen him in 2 years, I'm naturally going to want to be in that community with my side of the wedding family, or my college friends here, high school batchmates here. And I realized the importance of that, because then everybody was lively in their own pockets, which created a whole nice atmosphere for the whole event.
Yes, definitely.
As opposed to this long sort of Game of Thrones 80-person long table where I got to shout to my own mother across the table. And how is that familial and fun and warm? It just felt so like, well, I'm just eating now. Okay. Whatever, So. I wish, even so in a 2,000 person wedding, you're like, okay, the bride's college people here, the groom's high school friends here, the uncle's, the father's business partners here. You're kind of doing that whole thing. For 2,000 people.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. And you're smiling about it. That doesn't sound easy.
It's not, but we absolutely love doing it. So, it comes, it it's great. Because, I mean, obviously the family is working with us also, like, okay, because we wouldn't understand the dynamics between the, so they are obviously sitting down with us and like helping us understand, okay, these are the people like these are the areas that we need to create, and etc. So it's great.
So you guys are doing like the event management, the decor. Are you into full-on planning now?
We are a end-to-end planning company.
End-to-end. I know in America it's called like all that in the kitchen sink. Have you heard of that term?
Oh, no.
So all that in the kitchen sink means basically after you get engaged, you call me, and then from your hotel negotiating to your food menus
basically.
to food. So literally a bride can call you. Oh my God, you just realized like 2 days ago, and you're like, for the 800th time today, yay!
Yes, exactly, and that's what happens. So we basically take up like it's a one-stop shop basically. We handle everything that's right up to your wedding day, right from invites, right from hotel negotiations, negotiating on behalf of the clients, and like vendors, finalizing their contracts, then just picking the right vendor for you even.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there are like 2 million vendor options now. We're spoiled with choice, which is great. But every, like for example, like there are different makeup artists, and everybody has their own style of working. So we would, once we understand a client, we will suggest, hey, I think he or she works better for you.
Got it.
And we will give them an array of options to pick from. And
So that's, what?
And obviously, decor being our USP.
Yes. They are amazing. I will link to their Instagram on the podcast link. Please check them out. But if you're not in Bangalore, can people just tweet to you anyways and ask you general wedding questions?
So we do weddings across. So we've also done weddings outside the country. So
Sure. Yeah. No, because it's interesting to me that when we were also planning our own wedding, and this is going to be a follow-up question that I have for you, but like, a lot of times people don't want to hire a wedding planner. They want to do it themselves, but they don't realize even if you factor in the cost of the wedding planner, my own sister-in-law is a wedding planner or whatever, you might actually even save money. Like you might, because sure, the wedding planner might cost you 1 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakh, whatever, but they might save you 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs on don't do that, don't have this, don't have that.
Yeah.
Or the hotel is going to try to charge you 1 crore. I can get it to you for 65 or whatever.
Yeah. Basically, because we work with them. We've been working with either the hotels or the vendors for a while. Yeah. And obviously we have our
arrangements. And right? Like it's,
and we always know that, hey, this is the time, this is whether you're being cheated, whether this is a good deal, this is not.
I remember when we were wedding shopping, like the guy was like, the hotel goes, it'll be about 3,000 rupees a plate, for a buffet with 19 main courses or 2-star, whatever it was. And we were just like nodding as if we knew if that's a good price or not.
Yeah, because you're like, always
okay, like, 3,000. That sounds about fair. Like, hey, are we getting ripped off? Are we saving money? We have no. And then later, the wedding planner was like, "I'll tell you. Here's a sample menu for my last 10 weddings. Check it out."
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, you were gonna say something. Sorry.
No.
Okay. Yeah. So, what makes a bad professional in this business? Whether it's a decorator, a planner. I was reading an article that if your wedding planner, doesn't answer your call for like a month or something, or if your food tasting if he only gives you 1 tasting with 5 dishes and you're asking for 40 dishes, he's not taking you seriously. Like, so how can you tell if you're not getting what you want out of somebody in this space?
If he or she is not prompt, there's no excuse.
The biggest day of your life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have no excuse. We have to be answered. Like we are pretty much, they can reach us at any given point of time.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
2 a.m.
2 a.m. Yes.
Yeah. I'll give you guys your phone number. No, I'm kidding.
Yes. No, I'm kidding. I'm not even kidding. Like there have been times, for example, one of our clients, she would only... she's really this, she was a bit business, she had a very chaotic business day, like the work days. And so she while we were finalizing on whether she was picking us or not, is the first thing she said was this: I can only message or communicate between 5 and 6 a.m. in the morning.
What?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Very.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were completely on board with that because, hey, I mean,
Alarm clock. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but like, but then she was sweet enough to tell us that this is when I'm going to communicate, but you can take time and like reply whenever.
Sure.
But
okay.
also there were times that she would schedule our calls at that time, which is fine. I mean, I understand everybody has their work and we have to. So we have to be flexible, number one. Number two is, as a wedding planner, you need to give them a lot of options.
Yeah.
And tasting and flower sampling and food tasting, of course.
Understood.
So, yeah.
Okay,
all
so
of
you
these
basically,
things.
so you obviously kind of do what they ask and be responsive and be friendly.
Yes.
Now,
And
how?
be transparent in your work.
Oh, for sure. I think in any work.
Any work, like we, which is what we because we kind of notice that, I mean, this wedding industry, at least the Indian wedding industry, it's huge. And we, at least our company, takes the time out to, when we give out our cost sheets or etc., we list down every single element with the price right next to it. So there are no surprises, and along with we give them the mood boards, etc., with the color palettes, and just ensuring that the client actually receives what they have asked for.
So how do you because I feel like I'm just rehashing my own wedding again, but like as guys especially, because when you go into this whole mood boards and Pinterest and flowers and decor and like what happens when somebody comes up to you like, yeah, I want like Moulin Rouge meets Titanic meets Game of Thrones, and you're like, oh God, like what the hell is this guy asking? Or like, and then okay, a floral mandap and some like candles. Like I'm saying, like, how do you? Because obviously, I think Steve Jobs said that the hardest thing is simplicity.
Right.
That's the most complicated. To
Definitely.
narrow in on. You don't need 19 buttons and 18,000 things. You need this one thing that'll just do that, and you can accomplish everything, and it'll be used a lot, and people will like it. So when someone comes up to you and says, DDLJ meets Game of Thrones, meets Moulin Rouge, meets, Star Wars or whatever, and you're like, what the hell are you, like, what kind of mood board is, like, this is putting me in a bad mood board. Yeah, like, how do you work with somebody in a limited 30-minute meeting to kind of hone in on what they're trying to go for?
We try and ask a lot of questions.
Yeah. And you're just like, that sounds great. Yeah. An alien should welcome you as you come in for the wedding after your long flight.
Luckily, no, Dasar, but we had a very strange request. I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah.
So we try and guide, because a lot of times the clients come with like multiple ideas. So that's where we come into picture. We try to talk to them and just to understand what their personality is and what they actually are, just to narrow down on options and reach one thing. Okay, even if it is like two themes together, we can do that, but like we need two themes and not like multiple
19
because then it
conflict and
I know that they themselves don't want it,
sure,
but I understand because that's not their job. Like they come with, okay, I like this from here and then this. So we try to bring them, ask them questions and kind of guide them in a way to narrow down on options. And
there was another quote, and I want to hear that story you were about to say. So there's another quote, probably Steve Jobs again, that said, people don't know what they want until you show it to them, as opposed to, nobody knew they wanted an iPhone until it was made. Nobody knew that they needed this until it just came out, and then they started using it. So I feel in the same way, yes. Like sometimes, whether in any industry, you have to kind of guide somebody to the answer and then let them think they got there on their own or something.
Right.
Because ultimately, what's going to make a good wedding for them.
Right, exactly. So, basically that. So there was this one time, we had a request of, okay, so the entrance must look like a red fort.
The end, like in the north,
Delhi.
The north remembers Game of Thrones reference. Okay,
So he wanted the entrance to be a red fort.
Okay. This is a Bangalore wedding?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as soon as you enter, he
Oh, Lord. She's laughing. I don't know if the video is still here, but okay. Yeah.
so he wanted like a lake in between.
In the hotel, like a water body.
Yeah, like a water body.
Inside the hotel.
Inside, yeah.
Like in a terrace area of the
No,
hotel?
so this is happening in a convention hall.
Okay. White orchid. No. Anyways, whatever. Okay, I don't know. I'm just shouting. Okay.
So he wanted a water body that's leading up to the mandap directly.
A water body with like stones in the middle to walk on or whatever.
He's coming in a gondola.
Oh, in a convention hall. In Bangalore where there's a water shortage and, all this Kaveri River and all that stuff.
And yes.
Wait, okay, go on. Yeah.
And he would get off there and just basically. So I'm not sure the connection between Red Fort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he just wanted the entrance to look like red. Why didn't he just do his wedding in Udaipur then? Like that would have given him some bit of that, right?
No idea. I'm just like.
I know Red Fort is not in Udaipur. I'm just saying it would give the same vibe, right? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. So yeah, at times it's just like So basically, in terms of design, like I'm not very.
There's just like 19 water tankers outside his wedding. Like, wow, they've really thought about the guest hydration. And then they walk in and they got to swim to the mandap. Like, yeah. And then here's your Bisleri. Like, okay, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know. So anyway, that didn't come through.
Yeah. Did you even do the costing for that or anything? Did you try to get to that step? Or
no.
You just nipped it in the butt right there.
So I was like, I don't think this is practical.
Yeah.
Because you'll be constructing something like literal construction.
Yeah.
It has to happen in this convention hall, which
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that they're not going to allow you to do. So I'm really not sure how this is going to work. Okay. And besides, I'm not for creating something artificial in the sense, if it doesn't fit into the surroundings of that particular space, I feel it's a bit odd and like out of place. Like for example, putting on a Taj Mahal. Like I would
Been
not
there, done
want
that.
to.
Why do you want to?
Yeah, it's not a fair. It's your wedding.
So how that brings me to my next question that I wanted to ask is, my brother's in the business in California. They started as DJ and lighting, but as you know, they ask you for 30 other things. So you're like, I may as well go upstream and also help with planning and this, that.
Yeah.
And I've heard him growing up the last 10 years at a table like this in our house on conference calls.
Okay.
With, neurosurgeon doctors with a lot of money to spend or diamond dealers, whatever. And, one uncle is like, we will do this like, I'll come on a helicopter in the golf course. And he's like, if you come in the helicopter, all the decoration is going to fly away. I don't know if you realize that. And you just spent 80 lakhs on this crazy, massive, whatever, Taj Mahal mandap that might be. And now you want to spend 10 more lakhs on a chopper that's going to ruin all the girls' hair they spend. And like, and they don't, but people just don't realize, right?
Yeah.
And, there was one particular incident I remember. There's a place in California just to rent this place as a wedding venue. It's like where the Masters golf tournaments or a lot of big golfing thing happens. Tiger Woods comes there, etc. And to do it for your wedding, you need at least 3 crores just to rent the space, right? Yeah. And so uncle, of course, has got the space, right? Has got the Mercedes to drive the brides around, best hotels for all the guests. And then he's like, I will do a 1-hour speech. And my brother's like, you have spent literally millions of dollars getting this world-class wedding. You have 300 people now in the ballroom, and now you want to bore them with a 1-hour speech? And he can't say that to the guy,
right.
But he's like, that's going to ruin everything you've worked for.
Right.
So when people have these ideas, I'll have a circus theme, a Taj Mahal. I'll do 19 speeches because it's important that no one feels left out, even though everyone will feel bored.
Right.
How do you push back on a client respectfully, candidly?
So we don't really,
to tell them, I'm trying to make it what you want.
Yeah. So whatever the client wants, 99% of the time, we ensure that it's given to them in some way. Like, for example, if there are 19 speeches, we will try to break it down, add some like an entertainment in between, or like ensure that, because the thing is, I understand where the client's coming from
of
also,
course.
because there are like 19 people who are really perhaps close to him that he does not
Yeah.
want to upset.
But at the risk of alienating 300 other people who don't know those 19.
Right.
You know?
So,
Yeah.
I mean, we try to either talk to them about like, hey, can we like make this shorter, or like give everybody like a time that they
Yeah.
have to stick to, and then, add some kind of an entertainment in between, like say 4 or 5 speeches or 3 speeches or whatever. Right. Like, so we break it down.
It's like less is more, we say in comedy. It's
Yeah.
much better to give a 90-second speech that's really concise, you'll probably
Yes.
remember, as opposed to looking at a paper and boring everyone.
Yes.
Rather than a 5-minute rambly speech. And then we met in college, and he used to like
Yeah.
eating pizza and like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
So the thing is, like, people who come with most touchwood, like a lot of people are aware these days. A lot of people come with, okay, even this decor, etc. They come with good ideas, because I think design and like Pinterest is accessible.
Sure.
And
Is Pinterest a boom or a curse for your business? And as in from the bride's point of view, like people come to you with 90 boards already or 90 pins already. So is it good
Yeah.
that they have that exposure?
I think it is.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
I love that my brides or my grooms, they
Yeah.
speak the same language that
Sure.
I am.
Okay.
Because it's easier to communicate. I know exactly what she wants.
Centerpieces, she's already familiar
Yes.
with the lingo and the decor
and she knows
the
that this is
uplights and
So, and I think she also understands quality now.
Sure,
Right?
okay.
Like when she knows what I'm talking about. When I tell her that, hey, a white hydrangea will look like this and a white chrysanthemum will look like this.
Isn't chrysanthemum like a dish to eat or
Oh,
something?
no,
Isn't
it's
that like
a flower.
fruit?
So,
okay.
I mean, what I'm saying is hydrangea is like a bigger flower, like it's
Okay.
just one flower. But she will understand the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, also the difference of price.
Sure.
So, I am not breaking my head over trying to convince them, hey, for quality, this is what it is. And a
Okay.
lot of people are aware of quality these days, which is great. And I think that's also because, I guess, like, Pinterest.
Sure.
People know that they want these things and these are not available. So if I want these things, I will have to pay.
Understood.
Right?
Okay.
So it's great.
So to bring us home, I want to ask a couple rapid fire questions, just the stuff that's been stewing in my brain now as you've
Okay.
been talking. So, how long should the average Sangeet dance be per dance?
Per dance,
Yeah.
I think 3.3 minutes.
3.3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, to memorize some song.
Yeah.
Like literally 3 days before.
Yeah.
Sweat and all that stuff people will do, right?
Yeah, I think 3 minutes.
Mine was 90 seconds, so I didn't like that answer.
Oh.
No. But my wife's was
So
about 4
normally,
minutes. Yeah.
right. So basically what they do is, So what they do is they attach 2 songs together.
Understood. And
So that becomes one.
and they do an entry or
Right.
whatever.
So that becomes one. So if you say one song in itself, then 60 seconds to 90 seconds. Is
Okay, how many speeches should the average, or how many Sangeet dances should the average Sangeet have?
I don't know. That's so like
9,
relative,
5. If you assume 3 minutes per dance plus a minute to change over, like the groom's college friends, the wife's college friends, the
think
groom's family, the wife's family.
About 9 to 10.
Or I guess how long should the entire dance performances be for a Sangeet? An hour tops?
An hour.
Tops,
Yeah, 1 hour.
right?
Yeah. that's
Okay.
it. Because then they'll have like people talking as well, and like family will want to talk, and
Sure.
maybe there are some audio visual clip, like all of that happens as well.
Yeah.
So I think you don't want to, and people want to get up and dance after
Sure.
a while, so they do not want to keep sitting there and watching you perform.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Outdated wedding trends. You talked about like the Taj Mahal mandap or whatever. What else is outdated? Are wedding invites still the physical invites, are they still considered a big thing, or are people happy now with soft copies and WhatsApps and all that stuff?
Indians, they still expect hard copies.
Like hand,
Like,
at least mail
not
me.
the younger generation. I think they're still cool.
Because everyone
the
just
younger
checks
crowd
it
is
like
just
a week before.
Hey,
Yeah.
this is fine. So a lot of now the wedding trend is like you have to do a soft copy,
Uh-huh.
and hard copy.
Yeah,
as
the
well.
hard copy is such an
Is-
Indian gesture, just to know that you got
like
it.
because the families will have to go and give, which
Yeah.
is understandable. Like the older,
Yeah, and then have like 800 cups of chai as they
Yes.
literally do this.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
You can't dunzo an invite, although that would be a great business.
yeah, yeah.
The dunzo guy just has chai with the family.
All right, no, but
on
there
your
are.
behalf.
By the way, there is a service where you can actually there are people who can actually go and deliver these boxes. Now the invites are boxes.
Oh, why don't you just mail it then? Oh, because he'll do the full round all day.
Oh wait, so the box will have multiple things like laddus. There could be like a small wine bottle. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can customize it,
Yeah,
right?
no, but why would? But I'm saying most people, they want the gesture of the invite to know that you took the time to hand deliver
Yes,
it. So if you
basically.
send a courier guy with the gift box,
Yeah.
then
It's
you
like-
may as well ship it, right? The
Yeah,
same thing.
it's like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. But then, I mean, when you actually hand deliver it, one of your family, your father,
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, okay.
So that's still in, basically.
That's definitely in.
And then
Definitely.
obviously the soft copy is all they're going to check a day before. But
Yeah.
understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Fashion. So Sabia or is it Manish? Who are the biggest trends right now for the average, middle class bride or whatever in India? What's the kind of dream fashion these days that you see people wearing, whether it's guys or girls?
I think obviously Sabyasachi is
The kind of the
he
Vera
has
Wang
his own
of whatever.
the Vera Wang of Indian bridal trousseau, I guess. But I also really like Raw Mango for what they do. It's handloom and it's understated luxury. It's
Okay.
gorgeous.
Raw Mango.
Raw Mango.
That's
is
like a
beautiful.
chain. It's like
It is.
Okay.
Apart from that, there are way too many, but I think these are the names I can remember. Zara Umrigar does really beautiful gowns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Entertainment wise, what's big these days? Is it important to have it's funny, during our wedding, we were all arguing about should we have English music or should we have Bollywood music? And we realized as much as people say that they're all modern and hip, you need to bust out the Bollywood
Yes.
tunes regardless.
Yes, like people want like jazz band performing and all of that. That's
Piano,
great.
Nora Jones, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then literally after like an hour, they'll be like, "Can we play some Punjabi?" And we're like, "Okay."
Okay, what makes a good... Are gifts still in these days, or do people just prefer cash? Or
For gifts now, there's this company called weddingregistry.com, which basically you can, again, like just put in all the things that you want, or for setting up your new home or whatever. Like gifts, nobody wants gifts these days.
Yeah, because who wants to carry that stuff
Yeah,
back?
and besides, half of it is things that you don't really need or may not really like, because you may be going for a certain aesthetic for your house, right? So what you can do is like make a list of things that
Yeah, a
you like from
registry.
different
Yeah.
websites, like even from Good Earth or whatever,
Yeah.
wherever you want things from, or like kitchen appliances from KitchenAid. You can just pick a few things, like whatever that you want, and list them up on the site, and people can and put that link on your wedding invite or your save the date or whatever. Send that out, and people will go and access it. And if they want to contribute for that, they can. And
That's a good... So do a lot of people... Because I know there's various trends. For example, you can tell people no gifts, cash only.
Yeah, but there will be.
No, but there'll be a box or there'll be something, right? Or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember during our wedding, I was like, dude, I don't want to like have people come up to me and then who do I give this envelope to?
Right.
While I'm drunk and do that 100 times in the night.
Yeah.
So we were like, should we have a box? Should we not? But we were just like, whoever wants to, whatever. But we're not going to worry about
Yeah.
it. But are people afraid these days or like to ask for gifts or to have a registry? Because I know in America they've had registries forever, but is it normal to do registries?
surprisingly, it
accepted?
is.
It's getting
It is.
Okay.
It is surprisingly, and most people now are doing that.
Registries. That
Yeah.
actually, because you get what you want at least.
Yeah. Because they're like, hey, we actually do not want gifts, but if you insist on one, I think this is the way to go.
Yeah, we said no gifts, only blessings. And then my best friend who came and he was leaving, I was like, hey, where's my blessing? And he was like, I was joking with him, but my blessing comes in MasterCard. Yeah. So And then there was one more question. Oh yeah, at destination weddings right now, especially for the Indians, what are like the hot spots? I know, okay, Phuket, Bangkok, whatever. I mean, what are you seeing? Sri Lanka, yeah. Like, where are you seeing people go that they didn't go 5 years ago?
Sri Lanka is definitely
Love
I
it,
think,
yeah.
it's beautiful and the service is great. People are really good and their food is similar to ours.
Of course.
So I think because food is such an important part of our weddings, they do a fantastic job with food. And
people don't realize Sri Lanka is probably cheaper than Goa, even though it's international.
definitely. Oh my God.
Staying in India is more expensive than leaving India, which
Yeah.
never used to be the case 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely cheaper than doing it here. Then we have
Goa, I assume.
Yeah, Goa. I mean, Rajasthan, Goa, they've always been there.
Yeah.
Bali
Bali is coming up.
Yeah, Bali is coming up in a big way, actually.
Is the Andamans opening up for weddings or not so much?
Yeah,
yet?
not so much because see the reason why Bali or Thailand or Sri Lanka is good is they're good because the vendors, it's equipped. The market is equipped to handle Indian weddings.
Yes, they have the food, the fashion,
They have the food, the fashion,
entertainment,
and decor, etc. You know, I mean, Andamans, I don't know, not yet, I guess.
What's last question to take us home? What's the wedding you're the most proud of, and why? Is it because you got complete control of decor? Is it because whatever people cried and they had a good time? Like,
I don't know. Every wedding comes with it's.
That's a safe
I
answer.
knew you'd say this.
Okay.
But
What is
honestly,
your dream wedding to plan then? Put it that way.
What is my dream wedding to plan?
Is it like
I think
150 people?
I don't
Everyone
know
cries
about
when you
people, like-
leave. Like the entertainment wasn't over the top, but it was like in a sentence or
I
two.
don't
what?
want. I'm serious. I know
Yeah.
you're not going to.
Every wedding is beautiful in its own way, and it's just all important to give a safe, politically correct answer.
Oh my
Yeah,
God. Okay, wait.
yeah.
So a dream wedding, I would say, like maybe somewhere up in the mountains where it's like really difficult to get there.
I see. Okay.
You know, it'd be challenging, but with limited resources, just to plan things, getting people up there. And I am pretty sure it's going to be a very, very small wedding, considering like if people want to go up there and get married. But just to make use of the limited resources and ensure that it's great, I think that will be like maybe my dream wedding. I don't know if there are any
No,
takers.
I love that answer. No,
But-
even if it's an iPod with 2 speakers that's playing
Right,
music,
you know?
but the fact that the mist and the trees and the weather played and
Yeah.
everyone made it to that 6-hour up the
Yeah,
mountain.
I think,
that is
yeah.
a beautiful answer.
Yeah.
I love that because, you know, like then you can be like, yeah, we didn't spend 10 crores, but our wedding was better than yours.
Because I mean, there's a story. There's everything
Yeah.
is going to be challenging, obviously, in the
Sure.
mountains, right? Like, so I think that'll be interesting. That'll be great.
It's so funny when I know I said that was the last question, but I'm having a good. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah.
Like after our wedding, like because I had all these useless kurtas that I got, not from people, but even that I bought. And now I'm like, I just want weddings to go to now, so I can wear this shit. Like I'm like being nice to people I don't like. Oh, you got married? Congrats! I'm so looking forward to it just because I want to wear this damn kurta
Right?
that cost me $20,000. I didn't even get to use it. Once, right?
yeah.
And then the other thing is, after you execute your wedding, you get over it, you had your limelight, move on, carry on with your life. Then you go to other weddings and you're like, oh, you did it this way, interesting. Or like, you're kind of just like, not judgy, but you're kind of like, So you don't have shrimp. Well, we had shrimp, right, darling? Yeah, you know, like, and you can't help but do that. you know? So-
And just, it's a very Indian thing, I
Like,
think.
do-
And a human thing, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my friends was like, who was that band at your wedding? I love them. I really want to hire them. And I was like, I'm not giving you their number. I was like, he's going to be saying the same shit at your wedding. I'm so happy for you and you. I was like, you said that to me last week. Like, well, that's horrible. But Karuna, thank you so much.
Thank
I hope you
you.
had a good time.
I had a
Yes.
great time. Thank you so much for having me here. And I want to actually say something that from your previous podcast that you said, like, you know, just to make every wedding memorable. I think I will always remember that. That was such an important point. I think when bride and groom take their time out and
Yeah.
spend those 2 or 3 minutes
Yeah.
with each guest, that's special.
Yeah.
And I never, like, that's so important. When I heard that in your previous podcast, I was like, oh, that's so important.
Because
and
then
people don't do that. And it's great. Like,
I've been to these Leela Palace weddings. Even our good friend Richa, who I got to know you better, who had a fabulous wedding. It was one of your first big weddings that you guys did, right? And amazing job.
Yeah.
Mogra Collective. Check them out on Instagram. How important is Instagram for your business, by the way?
It is very important.
Yeah.
It is really important. Although we've been slacking, we really need to.
That's okay. After this podcast, that's the topic for another podcast.
Yeah. So mostly it is word of mouth through people. People who know us and who've recommended us. But that's how wedding industry works. But having said that, social media is very, very important because I keep sharing ideas and our previous work, etc., on it, and try to make it as interactive as possible, and ask people to reach out to us because you never know. I mean, something may work out. Right?
Sure.
So.
And I give a book to every guest of mine who comes to borrow. You got to give it back to me. Donezo it with that wedding basket. but I'm going to give you a book called Crushing It by Gary Vee. It's about social media.
Okay.
And I have it sitting there.
Oh,
so
great.
You can keep it. It cost me $100. Whatever.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
But taking it back to your last point, to take us home officially this time, if you're still listening, sorry, we keep dragging it on till the end. Yes, if you're at a wedding, you're not seeing Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, you're not seeing Obama and his wife or Trump and his wife. Those are your friends. They're there for a reason. Talk to them. Say hello. Don't just hi, goodbye. Because I think, like you said, those 2 minutes, 60 seconds of, man, so many people here, and go to the corner, have a smoke, have a drink. Just that bonding, I think, makes all the difference.
Absolutely, definitely.
So, I mean, I came across the world and give me 2 minutes. Yeah. So, thank you so much, Karuna. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Mogra Collective. Google them. Check them out. Even if you live in China and you have a question on Indian weddings, hit her up. Hit me up. And appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Bye.
Birdy num num. Birdy num num. A birdie num num.
That's right.